I'm going to walk you through how I built my Olympic weightlifting platform. The first thing I did was go out and buy sheets of 4x8 plywood. So 4 foot by 8 foot plywood. I bought mine from Home Depot. The reason why you buy 4 is you're going to take one sheet of 4x8 plywood and put it next to another 4x8 sheet. You're then going to take the other 2 sheets and place them on top of those 2. The only difference is you're not going to place them directly over top of it in a parallel fashion. You're going to put them actually perpendicular. This is so that when you go to screw them in, they make a nice tight lock and they're not sliding apart from each other. What you're going to do from there is screw in at regular intervals. So every few inches, I screwed in some screws all around the border of my now 8 foot by 8 foot plywood platform. The next thing you'll see coming in here is right down the middle. On top of those 2 layers of plywood, you're going to see something that looks a little bit different. It is red oak. I chose red oak because it's a little bit nicer of a finish than the standard plywood that's underneath it. This is for placing your feet when you go to lift. So as an Olympic weightlifter, you're going to want a solid surface to be standing on when you're Olympic weightlifting. And then when the bar drops, it's going to be dropping on a softer surface, which we'll get to in a minute. But the sheet of red oak is going to be placed on the same way as the plywood. Just screw in regular intervals all the way around the border, and you'll get a nice locked-in finish. The only difference between the red oak and the plywood in terms of dimensions, the red oak is only 3x8. It's not the standard 4x8. So I bought a 4x8 sheet of red oak and cut it down to 3x8. I made sure, as you can see in part of this video, that I measured to make sure that the piece of red oak was directly center. It's not too far to the right or too far to the left. So because this is 3x8, that left me 2.5 feet on each side. So the space on each side is 2.5 feet by 8 feet. From there, the things that are going to be placed on the right and left are going to be called horse stall mats. This is something you can buy. I bought them at Tractor Supply. You can certainly buy them anywhere that sells horse stall mats. They are what you see in traditional gyms, the flooring that will absorb force pretty well. This is a great option for an Olympic weightlifter who's trying to slam bumper plates on the side after each lift, after a snatch, a clean, and a jerk. The bar is released and dropped. It's nice to have something that can absorb some of that shock. So as you can see here, the black material is what I'm referring to as those horse stall mats. What we're doing is making sure that we have everything lined up. We're cutting it on an even line. We use an X-Acto knife to be able to cut the 2.5 foot by 8 foot horse stall mat. However, we found difficulty at first. It's really hard to cut through some of the horse stall mat material. This one is 3/4 of an inch thick, so it's very hard to cut even with an X-Acto knife. You'll see us struggling a little bit here. It took us a little bit longer than we would have liked. However, we weren't utilizing something that we found very helpful later on. All you have to do is take a spray bottle. You can put water and soap in it, shake it up a little bit, and then spray the area that you're about to cut. Surprisingly, it actually makes this much easier to cut through. It seems counterintuitive, seems like it wouldn't actually help, but trust me, it does. So it helped us go through a little bit quicker. So as you can see here, we're a little bit frustrated, but we'll fast forward and you'll see here that more of it's now done. The right side is almost completely finished. The left side just needs one more piece. Now you're wondering, why didn't I cut an entire 8 foot length? The way that the horse stall mats came when we bought them, they weren't quite that long. So we just made sure to cut at least 6 foot of that, put it on, screw them on, and then get the last 2 foot piece of square and put it in. This is going to be secured the same way that all the wood was. You're going to go around the border of the horse stall mat and use screws, screw them in every few inches at every interval, and make sure that it's lined up really well with the piece of red oak in the middle. If you use that 3/4 of an inch thick horse stall mat, it should be exactly the height of the red oak, so that therefore there's not a gap in the height between the 2 surfaces. From here, all we're doing is putting the finishing touches on, all the screws around the border of all the material, and then from there, you're going to see the finished product in about a minute here.